Welcome to Synthaholics. This is your host, David Duncan, and with me is...
Brian, that's me. Hey, David, how you doing?
Hey.
Hey, how you doing, boss?
I'm doing
How you
pretty
doing,
good.
boss?
How is you, boss?
Oh, I'm pretty good. How was your Thanksgiving, man? It was Thanksgiving. We haven't actually recorded in a while, even though I don't think the people you might not have probably wouldn't have noticed, right? I don't know how timing works, but we haven't actually recorded a podcast in quite some time.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. We released the same time on YouTube, but we had a couple-week gap. My work has been crazy with my over hours and stuff. So
It's your over hours.
my over hours and stuff.
Yeah, so we recorded a little bit more than we needed to compensate, but we are back, even though nobody noticed but us. We're just explaining a problem that's only affects you and me.
Well, and if anyone actually watches us on Twitch, they would have known because we podcasted 2 weeks in a row.
Okay,
and
that's
they took
true.
2 weeks off. So
That's true.
People who watch us live might have noticed.
Maybe.
But maybe.
Maybe they noticed.
They forgot about us.
So if it even isn't obvious what we're talking about behind us here, it's Black Panther.
Yeah, we're Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever. No, we're not talking about Black Panther. We're not really doing Marvel anymore. We're doing House of the Dragon. But first, we have news. Maybe you got news, David. I don't know, but I know I do. And I'll start us off with Tommy Wiseau, our great creator who has made bad movies famous or bad movies popular. It seems like that's the thing now. People like watching intentionally good but bad movies. I don't know.
Oh, hi,
Trash
Mark.
movies. Yeah, oh hi, Mark. Tommy Wiseau has been streaming on Twitch and just doing random stuff for like 3 days. He streams like 14 hours a day. And he literally just does completely random stuff. He's either playing a game, watching a show. I don't know what he's doing, but whatever he's doing, I'm not gonna lie. It's been kind of I like it.
You've been binge watching Tommy Wiseau on Twitch.
I don't know about binge watching, but I'll catch like 20 minutes when I'm supposed to be working.
Well, that's how it goes sometimes.
So, David, do you have any newses? Any newses?
Well, I kind of told you about some of my news. You'd mentioned to me that
Tell
they're
the
making
people.
a Horizon MMO, and I found out today. I was really worried about it because I don't know how much. Like, I don't know what you do with the Horizon MMO. Like, it's a great single player experience game. I really love Horizon and Horizon Forbidden West, but some games just don't need an MMO made of them, and I feel like this is one of them. And it's not Guerrilla because Brian was like, "Oh, if a Guerrilla's doing it, I'm fine with it." And
Yes, I still stand by that statement. I still think it would be fine.
I found out today that I actually looked into it finally, and it seems like it's NCSoft who's doing it. And I know some people love Guild Wars, but I've played several NCSoft games and never fell in love with any of them, so I'm not super excited for the Horizon MMO.
Well, if anybody's gonna do an MMO, I'm glad at least it's an MMO company. They just make MMOs. That's kind of like their thing. So I don't know. Hopefully it'll be good. Even if it is good, honestly, I don't think I'll play it because I don't really play MMOs. But if it is good, maybe I will try it. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
especially if there's a monthly subscription. It seems like a lot of MMOs gear towards that endless monetization because it's an MMO, and I understand it. But
the MMO is the only kind of game where I kind of like accept the endless monetization, because it makes more sense in that case, because it's the true sense of a live service game where they are actively working on it for forever until the player base goes away. Like yearly expansions, granted you pay for the expansion, but I mean the server maintenance, there's always like constant updates happening to fix bugs and stuff like that. So I mean the game is constantly in a state of development all the time, so I understand the monthly thing on that. These other live service games are just like, give us money for skins. We're just gonna keep making skins and animations. Callisto Protocol. We're making animations.
Animations here, baby.
Animations.
Animations.
Yeah, that's.
I'm not cool with that. Yeah.
That's not kosher.
Kosher.
It's just not good.
Yeah, I think you know what? I think we agree on that. A monthly subscription to MMOs is okay.
is okay.
It's okay
I mean,
because
like,
it makes sense.
I understand it from a business. It just makes sense. The server cost and all that. I mean, I understand it's a live service situation that makes sense. All these
Yes.
other live service stuff is just like garbage to rake in
Well, it
money.
seems like we just found like a tier list of live service. There's live service like Fortnite live service, and then there's World of Warcraft live service. Like you're not paying monthly for Fortnite, and that's considered a live service game. But don't know where I'm going with that. But yeah, it's a tier. It's a tier list.
The season pass is like a monthly or
Oh yeah, whatever. However often they
seasonally
do.
like cost.
I guess
like
battle pass or
that they
stuff.
expect you to buy into. Yeah,
I don't know too much about Fortnite.
I don't know. I was a big EverQuest guy growing up. EverQuest 1, EverQuest 2. So like I judge all other MMOs to them, and like nothing has quite scratched the itch like those have. I'm really sad about that Dune MMO being developed by the Conan people, because I've heard very little good about the Conan game. And like a Dune open world survival game could be cool, but an MMO, like, I don't know.
You get to be a Fremen. Isn't that your dream?
No, I want to be a Harkonnen and shave my head.
You don't want the spice to flow.
Or the Harkonnen make the spice.
I guess
flow
everybody
pretty
wants
hard.
spice to flow. Everybody wants spice flowing.
Harkonnens make it flow really hard. Or I either have to either shave my head bald or dye my hair red, depending on which version of Dune we're talking about.
There's a lot of different ways you could go about this. If there was an MMO, what would you be? I feel like Fremen's the obvious choice.
Can I be a Sadukar?
I don't know. Is that going to be a class?
I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. Like making worlds into MMOs that doesn't always make sense. Fantasy's great for MMOs. You got lots of classes. Science fiction, kind of the same thing because there's all these different specialities. But Dune is a more narrowly focused kind of science fiction. So like you've got Fremen and you've got Sadukar, I guess, because they're specialized fighters. You're going to be better at fighting, maybe. Who knows? But it's an RPG, so you have to like suck at fighting until you get better at fighting. I don't know. I don't know. Unless you're only playing Fremen, and then like, wow, that's some variety there.
We're developing the game live. We're supposed to be like analyzing with our awesome analyzing skills on House of the Dragon. We're here talking about how to develop the Dune MMO.
I don't know. Like I didn't really have much news, but I hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving.
At least here in America.
And a good Canada Day in Canada.
And I'm just thankful for everybody. Okay, let's take this holiday and just thank everybody. Thank you, everybody.
And everyone around the world for your prospective wintertime holidays.
I think we're the only ones that really have Thanksgiving, Canada and us, right? Because Thanksgiving was because Europe came over here.
Thanksgiving is because we murdered and slaughtered the Indians. America. Yes.
Hey, whatever they did, we got 2 days off because of it. Or at least I got 2 days off because of it.
I didn't get 2 days off because of it, but
at least everybody gets one. Most people get one, even though legally they don't have to give it to you. Most people give one.
A holiday that celebrates genocide is kind of creepy.
Well, that's like every holiday.
And we celebrate genocide by eating lots and lots of food. Also kind of weird.
Well, we're living like we're kings.
If one of the 7 deadly sins was gluttony, it was a holiday, it would be Thanksgiving and wrath.
Wrath is for when the families start fighting.
Thanksgiving is almost all the deadly sins. If you think about it,
let's rebrand it. Thanksgiving is the 7 deadly sins.
The 7 deadly sins giving.
Oh my goodness,
that would make it a lot more festive.
Well, moving on. I feel like we could just get totally sidetracked forever now. But another piece of news is God of War came out. Now, neither one of us has beat the game yet, but I just let's take 30 seconds and just what's our thoughts here, David? What's our thoughts so far? Story? I like the story. It's fighting's good. It's a solid, next game for Santa Monica.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I'm enjoying the combat. It's fun. It's more God of War 2018. So if you liked God of War 2018, you'll probably like this.
You should have.
I'm not very far. Yeah, God of War 2018 is a masterpiece. Like, It's a game I would totally give a 10 out of 10. Beautiful game. This game, the only thing that really bothers me about this game is a little bit of some of like the dialogue. I feel like now that if you haven't played the last game, it's established that Atreus is Loki. I feel like
spoilers. We spoil everything.
You spoil everything, so that's not a surprise. So, I feel like Loki's power of like being like the trickster god is that he's aware that you as the player are playing a video game, because there's lots of little things he says throughout the game that just make me feel like, oh, he's not breaking the fourth wall, but he's leaning on it really hard, where it's the things he's saying isn't funny, like a funny break of the fourth wall. He's just kind of
looks
like
at the camera
aware. Well, like you hit this thing and it makes the circle go around so the boat goes through. You hit it once and it lines up perfectly so the boat can go through. He's like, oh, it sounds like that's neat that you hit it just the perfect way at the perfect time. It's just kind of like,
he's hovering it. He hovers it a couple times. That is a complaint I've seen a couple times online, are people saying that, what their conversations they're having related to the game are a little bit too involved. Like sometimes they'll spoil puzzles or stuff like that. Well, and that's kind of lines up with what you're saying as well.
Well, I mean, the spoiling puzzle isn't like really breaking because they're alluding to things in the world, which is fine. Because some of the puzzles in this game, like when you stumble upon it, you can't just do the puzzle half the time. You have to actually go through the level a little bit further before you actually get to the point where you can see the puzzle, which is really kind of dumb. Like, why is the puzzle back here?
Backtrack.
Yeah, you have to backtrack to like get the puzzle, because like I sit there and just slam my head against the wall for like 15 minutes, and I'm like, oh.
Well, do you want me to tell you? I can answer this question why they make you do that if you would like.
Well, that's not how God of War 2018 was. Most God of War 2018 puzzles you could just do when you saw them.
Yeah. But I could change. I could enlighten you a little bit if you want me to. It's up to you.
Is it up to the story? Go ahead.
It's not a spoiler to the story.
No, okay.
In the first one, you killed all the Valkyries. There's no more Valkyries to fight, so you have to backtrack. And there's something similar to Valkyries that you don't get the ability. You're not strong enough to fight them now. You're just not.
Well, I'm talking about the chest with the 3 runes on it.
Oh, you're talking. Okay, I'm talking. There's something else. Never mind. But there's something like that. That's why they want you to backtrack, because there's a lot of stuff you need to do later in the game that you're not strong enough.
I saw the things that are like the Valkyrie things that the chisel won't open. That's fine. But like the Numenor chests with like the runes on them, like you can't just, a lot of the chests you just can't do when you find them. You actually have to like progress to the level more to like get back and do them. That's kind of annoying. You can't just do them when you see them half the time.
Are you finding chests that I didn't find?
I mean, it was like right out in the open. This one I just did like 15 minutes ago.
Maybe I don't remember. For reference here, I still haven't beaten the game. I don't know how far I have to go in the game, but I have 60 hours in the game. So I've played it a lot.
I've only got about 10, so Brian's a little bit further ahead than me.
I'm a little bit farther. I'm also doing everything possible, so I don't remember seeing chests that I couldn't get to.
There's been a couple instances where I've had to progress
in
forward.
Swivelheim or whatever with the dwarfs. I don't think there was any. I think that's where you are, or you were. You were just there.
It was in Alfheim. I had to do it a couple times.
Oh, Alfheim. Oh, maybe there was some in Alfheim. But anyway.
Great game.
The last piece.
Highly recommend
play the game. Play the first one first. Definitely play God of War 2018.
Like they do have a menu on the option menu when you start the game that'll recap God of War 1, but just play God of War 1. It is a absolute masterpiece.
It'll make you feel things you didn't know you could feel.
Horny.
Yes. It's also just it's just good, man. It's just good. And this one is just a continuation. This is like the Avengers when they did the Endgame Part 1 and Part 2 or whatever. Endgame Avengers, whatever. This is like just continuing the story. This isn't. Well, you literally just start off where you left off in the last game.
Just like Horizon and Horizon Forbidden West. It relies on the first one a lot.
Yeah, so definitely don't skip it. I don't know why we have to give that advice. I feel like anybody who'd be listening to this would be like, yeah, why are you even saying that?
Just making sure. Can't be too
Just
careful.
making sure. We got your best interests, okay? We got your best interests. The last piece of news, we just got a bunch of video game stuff today, I guess. Pokemon. Oh, well, how's that going, man? So, before we go anything with Pokemon, I want there to be a good Pokemon game. I do. I like Pokemon. I really do. and people say, they like the game. I've seen people like the game, but it definitely has issues. Then I have seen people say that there is no issues and they don't know where they're seeing them. And then there's your like 8-year-olds who are like, I don't know what is bad. So, that's what I'm seeing. However, there's no way there's not issues with this game because I think it's launched worse than Cyberpunk. That's what I'm seeing, and it's for some reason Pokemon just gets this pass, and I don't understand why. I feel like we should, as a world, be holding them accountable. I'm holding them accountable by not buying their game, but nobody else is.
Yeah, I haven't bought it either. My wife is also a big Pokemon fan, and she has not also bought the
Everybody's
game.
a Pokemon fan. Everybody wants the best Pokemon game, we can get. It's the biggest entertainment media on the planet, and they can't make a good game.
I've heard conceptually and design-wise, it's the most solid Pokemon conceptually. Yes. In actual practice, it is the absolute worst Pokemon game. From not even getting 30 frames a second. Like, in their promotional trailers, you can see, like, 5 frames a second in many of the, the faraway scenes. It is bad, technically, from a technical stability standpoint. I've seen cyberpunk like nightmare scenarios in the game where like just bizarre things happen. People are missing faces or their arms are stuck through their heads sideways.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff.
Wakanda forever. Things like
that's
that.
Later in the show. David, that's later in the show. Don't be doing Wakanda sleuths. That's in a couple minutes.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's like I saw a comparison of these weren't just like cherry picked comparisons. This is like I watched videos of like gameplay of each games, and I remember we were complaining Arceus, wow, this looks awful, this just sucks. And then I watched video of the new Pokemon games, and I was like, how did we even like this? Looks like it belongs in a museum for how good it looks. And this is Arceus we're talking about, and I remember Arceus. We were like, man, this sucks. These textures and all that, it's just bad. And now this game is so much worse that it's like, man, Arceus doesn't look so bad.
Arceus is actually a decent game, though. Like, I know you didn't want to play it because it looked bad, but this game, Arceus is actually fun. It is a...
Well, it runs better, too.
It runs better, and it's like 3 or 4 steps forward in Pokemon, whereas Scarlet and Violet take it back all the
Another
steps.
3 or 4 steps. A couple more.
They basically just walked everything back.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 things I've dropped. I think there's two things that I'm closing the chapter on, and it's going to be Pokemon games and Marvel content. I think those are the 2 things I'm closing the book on for those 2 mediums until either one of them can prove that they can make a good thing again.
I really hope Marvel Phase 5 can like pull their head out of that. However many
we're going into DC land, baby.
How many? Oh, James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn.
Although I have heard nothing but good things about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special that James Gunn did. So,
well, it's James Gunn.
It's James Gunn.
When does that come out?
It's on. I think it's already out. I've seen reviews for it.
Oh, it's out. Oh, I'm probably not gonna watch it.
It's on Disney Plus. It's James Gunn, though. You love James Gunn.
Do I support I'm getting older now, and I want to be stubborn about stuff. Normally I'm like the positive guy, and you more lean towards the negative side. I want to go to the negative side and be like a stubborn guy, like Star Wars for Andor. I don't want to watch it in principle of Star Wars.
Oh, I'm not watching Andor in principle. A, that it's Star Wars, and B, that it's a prequel to Rogue One, one of my least favorite Star Wars movies of all time. I despised Rogue One.
Did you like it more than Episode 9?
They are a close tie. Episode like the Last Jedi and Rogue One are like at the bottom, fighting it out for worst Star Wars film.
Well, everybody said Andor is really good, and I still don't care.
Episode 8 is the worst one, not 9.
Episode 8's even worse. Yeah, I got the numbers confused.
Ryan Johnson, he is the worst. Don't let him touch anything ever. He'll just
don't everything. That Loop movie or whatever, Looper. I still like Looper.
Oh, I hated Looper.
All right.
I liked some parts of it, but I hated the end. I hated the way the story wrapped up because it was like, oh, you just subverting my expectations by like just falling back into the same plot you said you weren't going to fall into. Oh, okay.
All right, man. You know, I would have to rewatch the movie to
Screw
understand
you,
what you're
Ryan
talking
Johnson.
about. I'd have to rewatch it.
It's like the whole plot is building towards something, and then they just don't do it, and then it just happens again. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, they also like actively made fun, like in the world, like they actively made fun of time travel in a time travel movie. Like they made fun of it. I'm like, you're destroying the own premise of your movie inside your movie. Like, be more respectful of the premise of your movie than that. Like, I hate Ryan Johnson's sense of humor. It always ruins things for me. It makes me upset and angry that you're just like, I want to see a cool time travel movie, and there was cool parts in it for sure. When they started losing limbs for no reason, that was a really cool visual trick. The rest of the movie was kind of garbage.
Well, that's your review on Looper.
It sucked.
Anyway, is it meat and potatoes time?
Meat and potatoes.
We have to say that every time. That's the Lord of the Rings thing because that's our highest. That's our highest rated trilogy. So that means we're gonna start at a high note every time, and then we're gonna just get worse.
Boil the mash, I'm sticking with a stew. Boil the mash, I'm sticking with a stew.
Yes. That's what we are doing. We're gonna
right.
boil it and mash it and stick it in a stew. So, what is this the same thing that Rings Apart? Is it called Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon? Is that what this is called?
Yeah, a Game of Thrones story, like a Star Wars story. House.
Okay,
of the Dragon.
so it's all right. So, House of the Dragon. Before we get into any of this here, you and me kind of briefly had this conversation, but we are going to get names wrong.
We didn't. Yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna get names wrong, but it's also not our fault.
Yes.
We didn't name all the characters the same
Definitely
name.
not our fault.
So
The names weren't our choice. Everybody's got same names, but everybody kind of looks the same. If you're a kid and have white hair, you look the same as the other kid with white hair. And then all the other there's multiple sets of twins in the show.
There's people there's people that have like different names, but there's only like one letter different than their name. So it's like, we will probably be calling people by the wrong name. We apologize ahead of time, but
I don't.
I apologize for myself ahead of time. Brian will not. Okay.
I blame House of the Dragon.
I blame George R.R. Martin for like. That's why the show's.
Wait, hold on. Before we even get it, we got to backtrack a little bit even further here. George R. R. Martin, this dude's like, he's got to have some really weird kinks, man. If something comes out of where this guy like needs to be in jail, I would not be surprised at this point. I thought Game of Thrones is like pushing the boundary of like what you should be showing on television. This makes it even worse. Why does he keep writing stuff like this? There's certain parts here where it's like, George, I understand, like, you don't you think he's into little kids?
George?
I don't know what's going on here, man. I'm not pointing fingers, but George R. R. Martin's kind of a weird writer now.
George
he
is
doesn't write. He doesn't finish his actual books. He does fan fiction for, like, anime.
He does not like anything vanilla.
That's for sure. Nothing vanilla for sure.
So what was before we get into the full meat and potatoes, your quick rundown, your score. What is your score for Yield Dragon House?
So here we go. We very briefly had a conversation. I finished House of the Dragon last night. All those. Yes,
congratulations.
This was 11/25, or if you live in Europe, 26/11, and 2022. I finished it, and I text you, hey, I finished it finally, and I was conflicted, man. I'm conflicted because technically, it looks good. Technically, the acting's good. Technically, the story's good. Technically, it's got everything that it should have. I love dragons. But there's also, technically, I just don't care. I don't know why. I want to care. I do. I like Game of Thrones. I want to like this show, but why don't I care? I want to know, like, there's some psychology. We need to get a psychiatrist in here of why I don't care. However, before we dive into that at all, not me needing a psychologist to figure out, but I'm just going to give this show like a 7. Meh. It's matched for me. I don't know. I just kind of don't care about it. I don't know. I watched season 2 and everything, but I'm just mad about it.
At least you gave it higher than Rings of Power. I cannot fault you for.
Okay, well, obviously I'm gonna give it higher than Rings of Power. Rings of Power is like we need to I feel like we should just make a dedicated like YouTube video on like how we explain our ratings. Actually, we should do that. But Rings of Power is almost as low as I'll go before I'm not gonna watch it anymore. I'm going to watch season 2 here, but I just don't understand why I don't care. Why?
Well,
Why?
I told you last night.
Yes.
You have a case of prequelitis.
Yeah, I do.
It's
Is it curable?
I don't know. I think George Lucas inoculated us against prequels, and then Rogue One just solidified that inoculation that prequels are bad, very very bad. So prequelitis is a real disease, and it started with George, and it's continuing with another George.
It's exclusive to Georges.
It's a George given virus.
It's a Georgian. It's like an STD given by George.
That's because neither of them are vanilla. Did you see the girl with the two things coming
man,
off her head?
These
who only wears fishnets?
Guys.
Who only wears fishnets?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
What did Jabba and Princess Leia get up to?
And you're old man.
What did Jabba and Princess Leia get up to? She had no underwear on underneath that loincloth thing.
What?
Return of the Jedi.
Oh, okay, man. You really threw me for. I thought you were like
no.
Traveling
I'm talking about kinks, like.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. These George people are kind of weird, but yeah, I guess I suffer from prequelitis here. We'll definitely get more into it here, but David, rate the show.
I gotta give this season like a solid 9. I really enjoyed it, especially coming hot off the heels of how utterly terrible Rings of Power was. It was really nice seeing a show that looked good. It didn't look quite as good as some of the early episodes of Rings of Power. But it was still really solid. I like the designs of the dragons. They made them all look like different.
Dragons were dope.
You could tell the dragons by looking at them. You knew like, oh, that's clearly Daemon's dragon. It had almost a very like Japanese style dragon look to it with a super sleek, really long body. It was really cool. I really enjoyed this show overall. I cannot wait for season 2. Because season 2, for people who didn't like season 1 as much, I think season 2 is going to be a better season because
this is definitely a setup. This is 100% they're setting up stuff.
Yeah, this is season 1 is definitely set up. Season 2 is where stuff's going to go bonkers, I think.
Which I would argue is a setup season. I'm arguing that since they're taking it slow and steady here, I'm arguing that a season 1 slow, if for any show, would be necessary to create a great show.
Yeah,
that's what I think. So even though this will probably, hopefully, if it's any, well, I can't say that about the previous from this Westeros place, but what we're going on right now, it should only get better if it continues on this path that we're on right now. It should only become a better show.
Yeah, I definitely give this a 9. This is a basically must watch if you like fantasy, sci-fi, like stuff like this. It is absolutely a must watch. Is my my early 2 cents.
Early 2 cents. David, now, favorite character. Is it a dragon? Mine is. Do you have a favorite character or a favorite scene? Because the first thing that just came to my head here was I have 2 favorite scenes after you mentioned dragons, and they're both dragon related. So, David, do you have a favorite scene, favorite character? What do you got going on here?
Favorite scene and favorite character are like
oh my god, I saw that. Don't say something weird now.
are one in the same. Like I really liked Rhaenyra. Yeah, Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra. The Princess Rhaenyra who's married to the sea snake. When she this is like second to last episode. Basically.
Wait, hold on. We need to differentiate these two real quick because people at least I'm gonna get confused. I don't know about anybody else, but there's Rhaenyra and Rhaenyra's.
Rhaenyra. Oh no, Rhaenyra's the daughter.
Rhaenyra is the king's daughter. And
Rhaenyra is the sea snake's wife.
Yes,
so this is Rhaenyra, the sea snake's wife. So, she she breaks a dragon out of the dragon pit during the usurper's coronation, and I wanted her to breathe dragon fire on all of them, and it would have been amazing. But it was still an amazing scene. She breaks up through the ground, kills a ton of innocent people who are just there watching the coronation of the imposter, and then flies off. But man, that was an epic scene.
It was pretty cool.
Her dragon is cool, and she's a badass. It was
pretty cool.
She is my favorite character in the show. Also, young Rhaenyra is also probably my favorite. I didn't like Rhaenyra as much when she got older, but as a kid, Rhaenyra.
I didn't either. I actually
awesome.
that is my biggest gripe is like this time jump thing. That's my biggest problem because I really like the younger Rhaenyra. I thought she like I don't know who the heck she is, but she acted like super good. She was super interesting, and then she got older, and then I was like, oh.
Well, I don't think the older version of her did a bad job. It's just that the younger version did such an amazing job. It just like it kind of put like if it was just the older.
They're both good. They're both good.
They're both good. If the show just cast the older one through the entire thing, like there wouldn't be anything to compare it against, and her acting would have been great and fine throughout. But the young girl who played young Rhaenyra was so good that she upstaged everybody, even Matt Smith. She was so good. I mean, I want to see. I want to follow her career. I want to like see what she does next because she is a stellar actress.
Well, I don't know where she's going. I haven't looked her up. I don't know her name. I don't know anything about her.
I don't know anything about her.
She lives in Westeros.
Yeah, she lives in Westeros. Hopefully, she'll have a spinoff show, Young Rhaenyra.
Yeah, that'd be. I'd watch it.
It's like young Sheldon.
So your favorite character and favorite scene are one and the same.
Rhaenyra.
Now mine is similar here. My favorite character is Daemon. I don't know if that's because I like Matt Smith or not, but I like that he's kind of like this chaotic energy, and I like that. So,
of course, Daemon's your favorite character. Of course, we played Divinity 2: Original Sin together, and Brian basically plays chaotic evil characters, so of course he likes Matt Smith.
Hey, it makes sense. Anyway, there's a part. I have two equal favorite scenes. Is when I think this is the last episode, where he's like walking towards a dragon and he's like doing this like chanting or whatever the heck he's doing, and the dragon pops its head out.
Yeah,
the head pops out and kind of just breathes fire everywhere. That was a super dope scene.
Yeah,
and when I'm looking at the people's names. Targaryen, Aemon Targaryen, the guy that has the eye patch that the kids. But when he's riding his dragon, and you can see the dragon diff, like he's flying this giant dragon compared to. I have my list of people here. I don't know where they are on this list. The younger the bastards. Kids.
The youngest of Rhaenyra's children.
Yeah, there's like this giant, like you thought he was getting on a big dragon, and then Aemon gets on another dragon that's significantly bigger, and they had some cool shots in there. So those were my two favorite scenes, and my favorite character is Daemon because he's the best.
And then I think my close third is probably King Viserys.
Yes, we should talk about a little bit about the king. Did you think he was a good king, or did you think he was bad? What did you think about? I thought he did, like, given the hand he was dealt, I felt he did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
he died honorably too. I think he died in a good way.
The thing is, like, the show like makes you kind of want to hate him in the first episode because he he wants to have a male child so bad, and then he kills his wife. To do a C-section,
which is why they showed that, man, and I was like, I'm pretty good with like gore and all that, but I was like, is this like, do we got to do this? I feel like we're just like trying to make things gory for the sake of making things gory here. I don't know.
It's like they did
maybe tone it back a little bit.
It's like they did a C-section, which they don't have any modern technology. There's nothing they can do to save the wife once the C-section is done, but they can save the child. But the baby wasn't coming out. It wasn't turning to come out. So
why didn't they give her like milk of the poppy or anything? They're just like they literally just like tied her down and like literally just straight up gutted her like a fish.
Well, the thing is, I think it's it's opium. Like, it would mess up the baby. They know, like, they apparently know that drugs and alcohol destroy the baby inside, but so they weren't gonna give the mom any of that.
Couldn't they like knock her out or something? I don't know, man. I
I,
feel like that could have been help. Like considering she's like the highest person in all the lands besides the king, I feel like there's something they could have done to like not just straight up cut her in half.
so it feels like they set him up to like be super hated in the first episode, which is something I didn't think he could recover from. But he was such a like, and then
he did recover,
and then his child died too, like a week later. And like there's this whole thing about that and Damon and like the heir for a week or whatever, what he said in the brothel, like he made Viserys very mad. But like Viserys was such like, yeah, he wanted a male heir because he's concerned about the future. At first it seemed like it's just for his ego, but he's just so concerned about the future, which the future doesn't even make sense given how the Game of Thrones the show ended. It makes no sense. And the sad thing is, like, I is kind of going back to like early stuff, but like I didn't want to watch House of the Dragon because I hated how Game of Thrones ended. Really,
I didn't. Originally, neither one of us wanted to watch it. But what were we watching at the time? Something we were watching at the time, and then I brought up or something. I'm sure you saw also online that was like, oh my god, it's people are saying it's really good.
We were watching Rings of Power and crying.
Oh, is that what we were doing?
We were watching Rings of Power and crying inside. I was also watching She-Hulk and crying on the inside. Everything I was watching was so bad. So,
so then we kept seeing articles and stuff saying like, dude, watch this show. I was getting recommended, watch the show. It's good. So then I guess we kind of like, because we have our list of podcast ideas, and this was one of the ones that was kind of like floating around as like we could have moved it down to a date. And it was up there for a while where we were just leaving it because we were unsure if we were going to podcast on it or not. But then we heard such good things about it, and we were like, throw that on the dates.
We got to get that in there. So that's why it's coming so late. It was like in limbo because we weren't sure if we were gonna watch it because we had sworn off Game of Thrones because the last 2 seasons were so bad. But I mean,
they're buying us back.
This is probably one of the best shows I've seen all year.
It is one of the best shows I've seen all year too. I need to go back. I would need to go back and look at everything that I've watched. I don't think anything's going to beat Edge Runners.
I mean, me, Edge Runners is.
I don't think anything's going to beat that for me.
Didn't you give that a 6.5?
Whatever. No, I gave it higher than a 7.
Okay, good. Yeah, Edge Runners, probably the best thing I've seen all year. This is a close second. And then
I gave it like a 9. I gave it like an 8.5. I gave it between an 8.5 and a 9.
You docked it 2 or 3 points just for being sci-fi.
Okay, we're getting. Yeah, you keep telling me that, but that's not the truth.
Yes, it is. You're like, I gotta dock it for being sci-fi, not fantasy.
Man, that was part of it, but that's not the whole reason.
And then you gave Rings of Power on a usually high score.
What do you mean unusually high? It's the lowest I can go before I won't watch it anymore.
Yeah. You just got 3 extra points for being fantasy and not sci-fi.
Oh my
anyway.
gosh! If I would have I'll give Rings. If I'm gonna apply that to everything, like you say, I'm going to give Rings of Power an 8.
No, don't do
we
it.
no longer can talk anymore. That score is unacceptable.
That's unacceptable.
But yeah, this is definitely one of the best things I've seen all year. I just need to like get over this. Like I don't know why I don't care. Thing.
Well, I think part of it's prequelitis and part of it's what I was just talking about, that we were so turned off by Game of Thrones and how it ended.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the show is trying to make you care about the prophecy, because that's what redeems Viserys, I think, where it's not just his hubris of having a son. It's like, this is the fate of the world that I'm holding in my hands. This is what he truly believes, and this is why he needs his child to be a male, and then he finally gives in to trying to bring up Rhaenyra as his heir, because a Targaryen has to sit on the Iron Throne for this prophecy, which it doesn't, because none of the prophecy stuff made any sense and ever happened in Game of Thrones. So
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Like that's probably why you don't care, because like the prophecy he's talking about doesn't make any sense because it didn't happen that way in the show and they still won anyway. Like
That could be that could be part of it. Maybe I'm definitely going to watch season 2, and I'm excited for season 2. Maybe because it was more of a slower show. I'm not exactly sure why. I need some expert to tell me, but I'm sure there's a couple of reasons why. It was still a very good show, though. I still like the show a lot. It's really good.
yeah, it's good. I'm just trying to like I'm trying to process you through like why it might not have been as good, because to me I can understand why you may not care, because prequelitis and because the way Game of Thrones ended doesn't make the prophecy make any sense. Like
Yeah.
like if Game of Thrones wasn't a thing and there's this prophecy that like a Targaryen's got to sit on the throne, you know, for it to succeed or whatever, like sure, I mean that's important, and that's important in this time, and he truly believes this, which is why he wanted to have a son and why he killed his wife to try to get the son. I understand it. It makes sense. In the scheme of the world and what he believes, and he's trying to do what's best for humankind in Westeros.
Yeah.
So I mean, like
Yeah.
it's bigger than him. It's bigger than his wife. It's just making sure that a Targaryen sits on the throne for this future time to save them from this imminent threat that's coming at some point. So
Someday.
yeah, so
Someday.
I mean, I get it, and that kind of, I feel like that's kind of what redeems him, and he just wants to be a good man. He just wants.
Well, also what redeems
to
him
stop
is
fighting.
that last night that he's alive, where he has dinner with like his family and everything.
Yeah,
After I feel like that will sell everybody on being like, you know what, he wasn't too bad.
Well, he just wanted his family to like love each other and be
Yeah.
kind, and just like we got to get through this together. Like, I just kind of wish he didn't like hide the prophecy from so many people. Like, if more people knew about it, maybe like they could find more reason to like stay together. But like his secret, I mean, his secretiveness fuels the plot for the show, which that's why it happens the way it does. So I mean, it makes sense to that. So
It's storytelling.
Yeah, it's storytelling. So I mean, I can't really
Yeah.
fault him for that. But I feel like he was a good man and trying to do good by his family, and man, he had to deal with it. He was just in constant pain his entire life. He was like falling apart from leprosy and like was like Skeletor man.
He was falling apart quite a
Look
bit.
into my eye.
I want you to see who I am.
Have sex with me with my one eye. My half a penis.
The other half has fallen off.
The other half is small. To have sex with the stump of my dick.
Still the bonding, please.
It's just
What about his wife? What'd you think about his new wife, Mrs. Hightower?
Alicent
I don't know.
Hightower. Alicent.
Oh, that's Alicent. Okay, cool. Yeah.
I feel like they did a good job with her actress from young Alicent. I feel like they looked a lot closer together.
Yeah.
So, like
She's been in a couple other things. She's
Like-
the only other character I recognize from other things. I know that's Olivia Cook, and I know Matt Damon is Damon. Those are the only two I won't forget. Other than that, I don't know who anybody else is.
Yeah, Matt Smith is the only one I know. He's the only character I know. Alicent was. I feel really bad for her because her dad is
She's just doing what her dad wants.
yeah. Her dad is just like manipulating her into like, you know, getting in good with the king, and then the king marries her because she was like nice to him, and like
So-
that's just super sucky.
Question for you,
Yeah.
because what episode in season 2 do you think he's gonna die? There's no way Hightower stays alive. The father.
Oh man, I don't know.
He's gonna die. There's no way he's not gonna die.
I don't know. I feel like he's like the Littlefinger of
Oh, you think so, huh?
this show, kind of.
Okay.
Kind of. So
right.
I mean, he's definitely gonna die. There's no question in my mind that he's gonna die. But how soon? I don't know. He might make it to season 3. I mean, he could easily die anywhere in season 2 because season 2 is probably gonna be all out war.
Yeah.
And I really hope.
Honestly,
and I
how
really
did
hope-
how? Go ahead.
I really hope it's Rhaenyra that kills him.
It could be.
Or
We
maybe,
don't know.
Or maybe Alicent will kill him when she's like so mad at him for all the stuff that like he brought down. Because that way he wouldn't see it coming if his daughter kills him.
How do you think they are going? Now we're getting into speculation here, but how do you think they're going to deal with dragons in season 2? Because there's a lot of dragons.
Well,
Damon and all them have a lot of dragons, and dragons seem to be incredibly overpowered.
well, I mean, I'm guessing we're gonna see them pull out the ballista like they did in Game of Thrones, that are the dragon killing ballista. I mean, the dragons all die at this point in history. Like,
Yeah, at some
they're
point
all
they
they're
all
all
die.
gonna just get killed because once the Targaryens are dethroned, all their dragons get killed. They probably like once the Targaryens are like overthrown, like once the Baratheon takes over, like they probably just like go kill the dragons in the dragon pit. They probably just like tie them down and just shoot ballista down into it. Like they probably cheap shot the dragons. That's where I mean, some will die in war for sure, but I think a lot of them are gonna get killed like Order 66 style. Like they're just gonna get cheap shotted. I think.
What I hope they do is travel more east, because we know Westeros is like this kind of like a long stick, but like there's like a whole side piece here, like where the dragons originate from and all that. I hope they go over there, because that was pretty interesting to me in Game of Thrones, but they never really go over there.
I don't think they're going to in this.
I don't think so either.
The show is the most focused Game of Thrones. I mean, it's only been 2 Game of Thrones shows, but at least Game of Thrones 1 jumped all over the place inside of Westeros, and then when Khaleesi was in Essos, they would go over to Essos. But this show pretty much exclusively takes place in King's Landing and Dragonstone, and then like wherever
That's it. Those are really the 2 spots where they're at here.
or at where the sea snake lives. Like they don't really go anywhere. Like I mean, we're very very concentrated.
Yeah,
in
I mean, we didn't even really meet. We didn't even really. I guess we did, but like not really actually see any Baratheon stuff going on till the like very end.
Yeah, we saw they flew. Like one of them flew to the Baratheon castle. And we saw like
yeah, or Starks. They're not really a thing yet either.
I mean,
they're talking about them.
They mention them,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna. I'm sure they'll have to travel to where the Starks are in Winterfell, or it was Winterfell, right?
Mm-hmm.
To Winterfell, and they'll do their stuffs and the things. But anything else? I mean, it was a good show. That's really the King is pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff I'm probably forgetting about here.
The crab guy.
Crab guy.
The crab guy.
Crab guy.
The crab guy.
Crab guy. I need more context.
He stakes you down on the beach and the crabs eat you.
Oh yeah, that was also that fight with Damon. Damon just kind of like goes and like this is what made Damon my favorite character, is when he just goes to like war or whatever, and he like holds up the white flag, like he's like, oh, we're surrendering, and then they get close and he's just like, nope, just kidding, and he just goes and kills like 1 billion people. That was pretty cool. That's what made him my favorite character, that whole series of events.
I mean, that was really ballsy. It was really well done. Like the sea snake was really cool. I liked him. Like,
the show has a lot of very cool like story beats in scenes. It has very like there's quite a few, like the one, your favorite scene. It's very cool. Or even at the end when one of my favorite scenes is when that big dragon looming over, and what happens there is when that big dragon eats the little dragon. That was also a very cool scene. Damon, very cool scene when he went to war by himself or whatever. Like there's a lot of little things that are really cool that happen in this show for sure.
Mm-hmm. And there's more incest because Game of Thrones. Why not?
Yeah, I feel like they gotta tone that back. I don't know. Every time I'm seeing like some incest now, this family tree is already confusing. It's only gonna get worse. Like if we're confused now, how confused are we gonna be in season 2?
Well, I mean, like, it's like the incest.
Now, before we dive into that, remember I watched like the first episode or something, and I said I already have a nitpick, or I already have a problem with it.
Oh yeah, what's your nitpick?
This was it. This is the family. I knew after like 2 episodes of the show, I was like, this is gonna become so confusing to pay attention, because I complain about names and places. I think about everything I watch.
Yeah, you don't like sci-fi names and fantasy names, and like. I normally defend good sci-fi and fantasy names.
Well, you can keep track of them. I just don't like them because I can't remember them.
Well, I can keep track of them because usually the names are different enough to the character so I can, oh yeah, that's that character, that's this character. But
Yeah.
this show, like we gave our disclaimer earlier, this show is so bad because we Rhaenyra and Rhaenyra. I'm like, which one's which again? And it's like it's so confusing. And there's like a couple different Aemons. There's different Viserys. There's oh my gosh. There's
Aegons,
Aegon. There's like a dozen Aegon. Yeah, it's just like oh my gosh, so many of the same names. It's really hard to keep track of. And like they aged up the kids like 3 times in this show, but they said going forward,
they're going to be the ones that carry on the show. Yeah, though they can't keep them as kids.
They said going forward, it's going to be no more changing of the cast. They said they're done.
Well, that's good.
So I mean, unless like either someone like quits or gets fired.
Would that be cool if they just kind of if they like twice a season kind of just sped it up until they get to no, because then I guess they could slow it down, get up to the point where Game of Thrones starts. I think that'd be kind of cool if they kind of did a time skip a little bit each season until they get caught up with Game of Thrones. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to think about it more.
I mean, I would like for them to like redo the last season of Game of Thrones to make it make sense with House of the Dragon.
Yeah, that'd be cool too.
That'd be a nice start.
But you know what the showrunners would tell you, since you're saying that, is like it's the game. That's how Game of Thrones is. It's the Game of Thrones. That's what they would tell you, man. They're not going to tell you about prophecy. They're going to tell you it's a game. It's all a game. Who's the best at the game? That's what they're going to tell you.
Not D&D, who did the show initially.
No, well, okay. People that don't want to jump off ship, they won't tell you that. But like anybody who's, I feel like they have their interviews. I'm not going to be able to point to any, but I feel like I've even heard that before with people where they're like, it's all a game. It's all a game. Once they're asking questions, I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to like create something that hasn't happened yet.
I have no idea.
Put it out in the universe. I'm trying to confuse everybody so somebody understands. Yeah, season 2 is going to be just with the kids. They're going to become big characters. Hightower's going to die. Princess, Queen, Rhaenyra's probably not going to die. Who knows who else is going to die? Aemon isn't going to die because he has a super powerful dragon.
Well, they're all going to die before the show's over. Like,
but how many seasons are they going to go here?
I think they said 4.
Oh, it's already decided?
I think they want to go 3 or 4 seasons with it, I believe. So
okay,
I mean,
what does Mr. George Martin want? George R.R. That's what he wants?
That's what he wants.
Okay, whatever he wants is what we should do. Just let him do his thing, man. Actually, I don't know, man. This guy's... I want him to finish the book, but I also want him to keep the show good. I don't know what I want more. I want more... I think I want the book more.
I want the book more, too. I want the actual ending to Game of Thrones and not the crap that was on the last 2 seasons. I want to know the real ending of Game of Thrones.
Can you imagine it's just as bad as the end of Game of Thrones? The book.
Oh, man, that would be, like, miserable. That would be so disappointing. Maybe that's why he isn't writing the books. He's like, yeah.
For sure, he definitely is terrified. There is no shadow of a doubt that this man is scared about what the reception of this book's going to be. Well, he's still got a book to write after this, so this actually isn't the end of Game of. Well, he probably will never finish that one. Most likely, I don't want to say he's gonna die or anything, but like given the track record we got right now, he ain't gonna make it.
And it's been like 20 years since the last book. It feels
maybe
like
not quite 20. It's been like 10.
Time.
It's been 10.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I think this is the 10th year. I think the last book came out in 2012.
Oh, it was like during right at the beginning of Game of Thrones' run. I think it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. So I doubt. He's supposed to write 2 more books. The one he's working on, and then there's one after that.
Well, it was originally only supposed to be 3, so we see how that's gone.
Well, it's being changed. I don't know what we're gonna get. Game of Thrones is cool. I don't have any. I can't really think of anything else. I feel like we had a pretty good conversation about it. I like the show. It's good. Watch it. I don't know.
Yeah, Game of Thrones, the House of Dragon. This show has redeemed itself from the lowest lows that the last 2 seasons.
Somehow it is crossed. It has climbed up the mountain and said, "Hey, we're the new fantasy kings again."
Different showrunner.
Well, there's that too, and also George R. R. Martin had a heavy hand in the writing.
Well, he
didn't have a head. Not in the last two seasons.
Well, yeah, when he had a heavy hand and in helping in the early seasons of Game of Thrones, that's when Game of Thrones was at its best. And when when D&D,
and then it just slowly got worse.
and when D&D basically wrote him off and stopped asking for his help, it's when Game of Thrones went off the deep end and started getting really bad. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
this is a great show. Watch it. Lots of childbirth in the
Yeah, there's a
show.
lot of, can we
There's,
honestly?
There was
That does bother me, and I don't want to I'm not comfortable watching that. Can we tone that back a little bit, maybe? I don't want to watch all this cool. I get it. It's supposed to be super adult and all that, but it gets at least for me, it's getting to a point where it's oh my god, another childbirth. Oh my god, another incest thing. It's it seems like it happens every episode. Chill, show some story. I don't want to see brother and sister have sex and then 8 people give birth.
has a lot of childbearing in this show, more than any
Don't
other.
say usually, most ever. I don't think I've ever seen a show with so much childbirth.
This one season has more childbirth than most complete shows have together. There's a lot of childbirth and on camera in this show.
Yeah, and it's shown. It's shown too. It's not just oh, they're giving birth now. No, it's you gotta watch it.
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch the miscarriage too. Oh
yeah,
man,
that happens multiple times too.
Oh man, it's a thing. It is.
Definitely don't watch it if you're an adult with a child. Don't watch this with your child. Actually, maybe do, because then you'll get those weird questions out of the way right away.
Yeah. Where's the baby coming from?
Let's watch House of the Dragon episode 2.
Why is it dead? Dada, why is the child dead?
Well, son, in House of the Dragon Season 1, we can explore that.
They don't have advanced medical technology. That's why, isn't it, Dada?
Advanced medical technology. Oh boy. Yeah, so watch a show. Watch a show because it's the only fantasy show that's good right now.
Well,
I think.
it came out this year. Yeah,
At least that I'm aware of.
That and Edge Runners, those are top tier for.
Well, that's sci-fi.
For
that I knocked 7 points off
But
of Edge Runners because it's sci-fi.
Yeah, you did. You knocked it way down low. It's pretty terrible. But those are the best 2 shows that we have seen this year. Must watches
That we've seen this year.
Yeah,
I feel like this is for you.
those are the top 2 shows that I've seen this year.
Oh, I thought you said that we've seen this year.
That we've seen this year. I mean, that we've talked about on the show.
Oh yeah, for sure. There might be something else that's better than this for me.
There's other shows that I've watched this year, but they didn't come out this year, so I don't know if that doesn't count.
Captain Invincible, I think, is the greatest thing we've ever talked about.
Captain Invincible and the world is tomorrow.
Man.
Might I be, what is it?
If you don't drink your poison, I'll bring the poison.
Christopher Lee singing a song about booze to the alcoholic main character. Man,
it all leads to spice flowing and Captain Invincible.
Captain Invincible. Gotta get me
we're making internal memes, David. We're finally getting there. We're making memes.
We got to start posting them to the YouTube channel, right?
Make our own memes.
Yeah, make some memes for the podcast, Brian.
Yeah, that's what we gotta do. Make some cursed memes. For those of you who don't know, I used to make a lot of memes, and I got to the point where I started getting. I don't think they were necessarily offensive or anything, but many places did not like them, and I don't know. Maybe they'll be accepted here.
Did you get banned from Reddit once?
I got banned on 4chan.
Was it a Billy Mays thing?
I don't remember what it was, but I got banned. I got IP banned on 4chan for posting a meme. I feel like it wasn't that bad. I don't know. I showed you too. You're like, yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe whoever controls 4chan was mad that day. I thought you could post anything there. I guess not. Anyway,
Brian pushed the boundaries of 4chan. I guess they need to. I think George should recruit you since he pushes the boundaries of vanilla. You could help him push some boundaries.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we could do that. I mean, I did make a Yamper video.
The Yamper cursed video.
Yeah, there's if you're inclined enough. It's actually not hard to find. It's a top YouTube result if you look it up.
But, I hate Yamper.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find. It actually has it has a good amount of views, and there's like some YouTubers with a check mark next to it that has commented on it. But there is a cursed Yamper video out there, the Pokemon Yamper, if you're interested. I'm not gonna link it, but you should be able to find it if you type in "I hate Yamper" or something like that. It'll pop up.
So that's also like a big inside joke with me and my wife and Brian. We always like try to show him Yamper stuff since he loves Yamper so much. So if you've got any Yamper merchandise, be sure to send it Brian's way.
No, don't do that. I don't want No, I don't love Yamper. You said I love Yamper. That is not true.
Brian loves Yamper the most.
You have to be into Pokemon to even know what Yamper is. I never even owned it. I've never even played Sword and Shield, and I know that I don't like Yamper. Oh man. Alrighty, well, our next podcast will be on something that I don't remember what it is. I think Avatar's coming up, right?
Avatar's coming up soon. It might be Avatar 1 and Avatar 2 next.
Who knows? I'm excited for Avatar 2. That's my most anticipated movie of the year.
Yeah, that might be the best.
I got high expectations.
Maybe that'll be the best movie of the year.
I mean, honestly, for what I'm going to see in theaters, it might be. I don't think I've seen anything. Oh no, never mind. I've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once in theaters. That would probably be the best movie I've seen this year.
Oh, did you see Top Gun Maverick?
No.
That was a pretty decent movie. I watched it recently on Amazon.
Well, if I watch that, then Avatar, it might be Avatar, so I can't watch it until 2022 or 2023. I'll watch it in January.
Oh, okay.
I gotta make sure. I gotta give Avatar 2 the best chance of being the best movie.
The best movie you saw this year.
So I've watched no movies.
But the thing is, even if you watch Top Gun Maverick later, it still doesn't change the fact that it came out in 2022.
Yeah, but it's got to be what I've seen in theaters. I never saw it yet.
Gotcha.
So yeah, there's that. Look forward to Avatar, please, because it needs to make a lot of money so we can get more. I really like Avatar. For as long as I've known David, I've told him I've liked Avatar.
I tease him for liking Avatar because it's a perfectly okay movie. It's pretty good actually. I rewatched.
We've known each other for quite a few years now, and I've brought up Avatar many times.
And I'm like, does anyone still care Avatar 2 is coming out? I don't know. I feel like people aren't talking about it. Maybe they are.
They will. They will come December 16th. Everybody get out there. All 8,000 million people. Kevin Feige, I know you listening. And who's that other guy that was listening into our text conversation?
James Cameron.
James Cameron watches the podcast. I didn't know. Yeah, which is shocking.
Okay, this is the story. James Cameron hacked our phones because I was complaining that the first two Avatar trailers.
Literally text me, we need a good Avatar trailer. And then literally 5 minutes later, they dropped an Avatar trailer that you're like, never mind. They showed a trailer. It doesn't look bad.
Well, the first two Avatar trailers just didn't do anything for me. They were just like random scenes with like maybe a line of dialogue. It was just like
Christopher Nolan trailer.
I was like, I don't care what's happening in these trailers. And then the third one that came out while we were like within an hour of that conversation, he got it online. So we just assumed that James Cameron had hacked our phone and was reading our conversation. Yeah. And so we asked him for some other favors, and hopefully
we did. Hopefully they'll come true. We can't say them. We can't say them here. It might break something. Maybe since James is obviously listening in now, if we say them, maybe they won't come true.
Yeah, we can't say what they are. So.
Yeah. So James Cameron, email us at synthaholics@yahoo.com. We don't reach out to you. You reach out to us.
Well, I mean, you did hack our phone, James Cameron. So
yeah. So obviously you're reaching out. Text me. Text me back.
Yeah, like
I want to be in Avatar 3.
Drop into our text messaging somehow.
Don't DM me. Drop into my private text messages.
Yeah, between Brian and myself. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a group chat.
Join us, James Cameron.
Alrighty. Yeah, email again at david@synthaholics@yahoo.com. That's all I have to say.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. We had it was like basically half and half today. Half video game talk and half House of the Dragon.
Dragons are cool.
All right. Viserys, Daemon, Rhaenyra out.
Hightower.